I understood war, but witnessing human strength up close changed everything. Commander Zelrath stood on the bridge of the warship Zarathas, his four eyes scanning the holographic display of the battlefield below. Millions of ships stretched across the blackness of space, the sharp lines of alien fighters gleaming like needles in the void. He had studied humans for decades. Their history was chaotic, violent, and unpredictable, yet somehow, in all that disorder, he found a strange curiosity, an energy he had not seen in other species. "Report," he said in a voice that echoed with authority across the bridge. The officer, a lithe alien with translucent skin, adjusted the hologram. "Enemy ground forces have consolidated near the ridge of Sector 7. Minimal casualties so far. The humans appear disorganized, but unusual patterns in their movement have been detected." Zelrath frowned. Unusual. That word made him uneasy. He had trained his entire life to predict, to calculate, to anticipate every move of an opponent. Humans had never been predictable, but he had always assumed that was weakness. Apparently, he was wrong. The humans moved quickly but not blindly. Small squads darted between cover using improvised defenses, strange signals, and unorthodox weapons. Their formation seemed chaotic at first glance, yet every step was purposeful, every maneuver clever. "They are thinking," Zelrath murmured to himself. He had fought countless species across countless systems. Most fell quickly under the weight of his empire's technology and strategy. But humans were different. Their technology was primitive compared to his fleet, yet they found ways to survive, to adapt, and to strike when least expected. He remembered the first battle he had studied from afar. A human colony on a minor planet had been attacked by a smaller alien fleet. Most observers would have called the humans doomed. Their weapons were small, their shields weak. But when Zelrath watched carefully, he noticed something astonishing. They moved as one, not by command but by instinct. Every human seemed to know exactly where another would be, how to cover them, how to exploit the enemy's weakness. This was not instinct alone. It was intelligence, creativity, courage. "Commander, the humans are consolidating at the ridge," said the officer again, interrupting his thoughts. "Sensors detect energy buildup, possibly a trap." Zelrath's mandibles clicked. A trap. The humans were daring. They were risking everything, knowing full well that one misstep could mean annihilation. And yet they did it anyway. "Prepare the strike team," he commanded. "I want to observe their response directly." Within hours, Zelrath was on the planet's surface, cloaked and observing. The ridge rose like a jagged tooth from the ground, and humans clustered there, moving supplies, digging trenches, and setting strange devices. It was a bizarre mixture of chaos and order. They were preparing for battle, yet they laughed, they argued, they sang quietly as they worked. Zelrath watched a human named Captain Alara. She moved among the soldiers with a calm authority, giving orders, encouraging the frightened, and correcting mistakes without raising her voice. Even in the face of overwhelming danger, she smiled, and the humans followed her without hesitation. "It is remarkable," Zelrath whispered to himself. Then the alien sensors detected the first wave of attacks from his own forces. Missiles streaked toward the humans, but they were ready. Makeshift barriers rose in moments. Teams moved in coordinated strikes, setting traps and ambushes that destroyed the missiles or diverted them harmlessly. Zelrath had anticipated panic. Instead, he saw precision. He had expected fear. Instead, he saw courage. And then, something happened that he could not predict. A group of human soldiers charged directly into the path of alien fire, not recklessly, but strategically. Their actions drew the aliens' attention, allowing another team to flank from behind. Explosions erupted, and in the chaos, humans rescued the wounded, repaired critical equipment, and continued to press forward. The commander's four eyes widened. He had studied the data, calculated probabilities, predicted outcomes. Every calculation said the humans would die in this attack. Yet here they were, alive and more dangerous than before. One soldier, barely out of adolescence, lifted a strange weapon and fired with pinpoint accuracy. The alien officer next to him was destroyed before Zelrath could react. The humans were not just surviving, they were dominating in their own way. For hours, Zelrath observed without intervening. Every tactic he had expected failed. Every advantage he held seemed irrelevant. Humans turned obstacles into weapons, weakness into strength. Their spirit was a force more powerful than his lasers, more unpredictable than his fastest ships. He began recording his observations meticulously. Each action, each strategy, each display of courage. He knew that his empire would want to see these humans crushed, and yet he felt respect. A deep, undeniable respect for a species that refused to yield, even when the odds were hopeless. Night fell over the ridge. The humans lit small fires to keep warm, sharing stories and food. They laughed, they argued, and they cared for each other. In the alien world, war was logic, strategy, and efficiency. But here, among humans, war was also hope, courage, and connection. Zelrath realized that understanding humans through data alone was impossible. To understand their strength, he had to see it, feel it, and experience it up close. And now he was. As the first part of the battle ended, the humans had survived against overwhelming odds. Some of their devices were destroyed, some of their people injured, but the ridge was still theirs. They were exhausted, but they were not defeated. Zelrath finally spoke, softly, almost to himself. I understood war, but I did not understand them, not until now. He turned his gaze back to the holographic display of the battlefield. His mind raced with possibilities. Humans were not just another species to be conquered. They were something more. Something dangerous, something resilient, something extraordinary. And in that moment, he knew that the war he had prepared for was no longer about victory alone. It was about understanding the unpredictable, indomitable strength of humanity, a strength that even a seasoned war commander like him could not fully grasp. As he retreated to his ship to report his findings, he felt an unfamiliar thought stirring deep within him. Perhaps humans were not meant to be conquered. Perhaps they were meant to inspire. And somewhere deep inside, Zelrath admitted silently that he had never faced an opponent like this. Never one whose courage, creativity, and spirit were more powerful than any weapon in the galaxy. The ridge remained quiet under the moonlight, humans tending their wounded and preparing for the next day. And Commander Zelrath, once confident in his knowledge of war, now faced an unsettling truth. He had underestimated the true strength of humanity. The dawn broke over the ridge, casting long shadows across the scarred battlefield. Smoke curled from the wreckage of alien ships, and the distant hum of engines reminded the humans that danger was never far away. Captain Alara stood atop a small hill, surveying the horizon. Her uniform was smudged with dirt, her hands were calloused from hours of work, but her eyes were sharp. She knew the aliens would strike again. "Report," she called to her officers. Lieutenant Harris, a tall, wiry man with a calm demeanor, stepped forward. "Recon drones have spotted another fleet approaching, larger than the last one. They're coordinating their attack from orbit. If we don't act fast, we could be surrounded." Alara nodded. "Then we use what we have, every trap, every barrier, every trick we can think of. We fight smarter, not just harder." Her soldiers, though exhausted, listened intently. Their trust in her was absolute. They had seen her ingenuity in action countless times before. She could turn hopeless situations into victories. That ability, more than anything else, gave them hope. Far above, Commander Zelrath watched from his ship. The human activity on the ridge fascinated him. Unlike other species, humans did not panic under pressure. They did not retreat at the first sign of danger. Instead, they adapted, improvised, and found ways to turn the environment itself into a weapon. He leaned over the console, analyzing every move. The humans began by altering the terrain. Trenches were dug rapidly, and camouflaged barricades were built using fallen rocks and metal scraps. They placed mirrors and reflective surfaces to confuse the alien sensors. At certain points, they created small channels in the earth, designed to redirect alien vehicles into areas where traps had been prepared. "Prepare the energy nets," Alara ordered. A team of engineers hurriedly activated devices that crackled with blue light. The nets would slow down the alien walkers and interfere with their targeting systems. Though primitive compared to alien technology, the devices were clever and effective. Zelrath's 4 eyes widened. He had seen many species try to fight with cleverness, but humans did not just attempt it, they executed flawlessly under extreme stress. Each action was deliberate. Each step was calculated with both logic and intuition. The first wave of alien walkers approached. Their metallic legs clanked against the rocky soil, their weapons charged and ready. Humans waited in silence, holding their breath. Then, with a signal from Alara, the energy nets activated. Blue sparks danced across the path, tangling the alien walkers and causing several to stumble. Rocks hidden along the trench edges rolled forward, toppling others. Chaos erupted among the alien forces. Zelrath had anticipated efficiency and precision, but he saw disorder. And yet, this disorder was not weakness. It was part of the human strategy. They sacrificed small units in controlled ways to protect the larger group and lure the enemy into traps. Alara moved among her soldiers, adjusting positions, redirecting teams, and issuing orders with calm authority. One young soldier, barely 19, hesitated as a walker neared. Alara reached him in seconds. "Focus on your target. Watch the signals." "Trust your team," she whispered. The soldier nodded and acted, firing a makeshift launcher that struck the walker's joints. It faltered and fell, sparks flying. The other humans pressed forward, pushing the aliens into the prepared areas. Zelrath recorded everything meticulously. The humans were not just fighting, they were thinking, adapting, and learning in real time. Their morale, their cohesion, and their willingness to risk themselves strategically made them unpredictable and dangerous. The battle continued for hours. Alien reinforcements arrived, but the humans were ready. They had created multiple fallback points, hidden ambush positions, and even improvised signal jammers to disrupt alien communications. Each setback the aliens experienced was met by a creative human solution, often improvised on the spot. Alara watched as her team lifted fallen soldiers, repaired damaged equipment, and repositioned defenses. Exhaustion was visible on every face, yet determination burned in their eyes. They were tired, hungry, and afraid, but they refused to yield. "Lieutenant Harris," Alara said, pointing to the northern ridge, "send the diversion team. We need them to draw attention from the left flank." Harris nodded. A small group moved swiftly, disappearing behind the rocks. Moments later, a controlled explosion sent a column of dust and debris into the air. Alien sensors were fooled, and a number of their walkers moved toward the false target. Zelrath's jaw clicked in frustration. No one had ever countered his strategies so quickly. Humans were not just adaptable, they were innovators in battle. During the afternoon, Captain Alara implemented her boldest strategy yet. She had noticed that the alien walkers relied heavily on their sensors to coordinate attacks. She devised a plan to jam their signals using reflected light, mirrors, and high-pitched sound waves. It was risky. If it failed, they could be obliterated. But if it succeeded, the aliens would be blind and vulnerable. Alara stood atop the hill, directing teams with precise instructions. The mirrors were placed along the rocks, the sound generators positioned carefully. Humans worked tirelessly despite burns, cuts, and fatigue. One young soldier whispered a prayer, though most refused to show fear. Their courage was a shield stronger than any armor. When the alien wave arrived, the humans activated their devices. Zelrath watched in disbelief as the aliens staggered, their walkers colliding, firing at empty spaces and miscommunicating. Humans seized the opportunity, striking decisively, disabling several walkers and forcing the rest to retreat. The humans cheered. Not loudly, cautiously, but their eyes shone with triumph. They had turned the tide not with superior technology but with strategy, courage, and ingenuity. Zelrath felt something unfamiliar: admiration. He had never witnessed a species so small and seemingly fragile achieve such a tactical victory against his forces. As the battle quieted, Captain Alara moved through her soldiers. She encouraged them, praised bravery, and comforted the injured. Even in exhaustion, she maintained her calm authority, inspiring her people to continue fighting. Night fell again, and humans set up temporary shelters. Fires burned, and the faint hum of alien engines could still be heard in the distance. Alara gathered her officers around her. "We have survived today because we adapted," she said. "Tomorrow will be harder. The aliens will come again, bigger and stronger, but we will survive again, because we are humans and humans never give up." Her words resonated deeply. The soldiers nodded, drawing strength from her conviction. Zelrath watched from orbit. He recorded her speech, noting every detail. He had known humans were persistent, but he had never realized the extent of their determination. It was not merely survival instinct. It was creativity, morality, and spirit combined. That combination made humans dangerous in ways that technology alone could not measure. He reflected on his own species. His people had conquered countless worlds, yet they relied heavily on superior firepower, rigid strategies, and fear. They did not understand courage in the face of impossible odds, nor did they appreciate the power of unity and innovation under stress. Humans did. As the humans slept, Zelrath's mind raced. Tomorrow the aliens would attack again, but he now understood that raw strength and numbers might not be enough. Humans had a weapon his empire could not fully predict: their unbreakable spirit. Alara, awake for a few quiet moments, looked up at the stars. She wondered how many more waves would come, how many more lives would be risked. Yet she felt no fear, only determination. Every human she led, every plan she devised, every improvisation in the heat of battle was a testament to their strength. Somewhere above, Zelrath marveled silently. He had understood war, but humans were teaching him a new kind of strength, one not measured by lasers, shields, or numbers, but by courage, ingenuity, and resilience. The night passed quietly, though both humans and aliens knew it was only temporary. The next day would bring another battle, fiercer than before. But for now, humans rested, their hearts full of hope, their minds full of ideas. They were not just surviving, they were preparing to defeat the impossible. And for the first time, Zelrath wondered if victory against humans was ever truly possible. The dawn of the third day brought an eerie calm over the ridge. Smoke from the previous battles still lingered in the air, mixing with the scent of scorched earth. Captain Alara stood atop the hill, scanning the horizon. Today, she knew, the aliens would come in full force. Their fleet above was massive, dark shapes blotting out the sky, and the ground forces below moved with relentless precision. There would be no surprise attacks today. No small waves, it would be the final push. "Are the defenses ready?" Alara asked her officers, her voice steady but urgent. Lieutenant Harris checked his tablet, nodding. "All positions are reinforced, traps are set, signals and diversions are ready. The energy nets are charged and the ambush teams are in position." Alara gave a slow nod. "Good. Remember, we fight together. We survive together. The ridge is our home, our people, and our pride. We fight not just for survival, but for humanity." Her soldiers, tired and worn, straightened their backs. Their faces were streaked with dirt and sweat, but their eyes burned with determination. They had survived 2 waves already, and now they faced the greatest one yet. Above, Commander Zelrath observed. He had never seen humans so organized in desperation. They were clever, yes, but more than that, they were united. Each action, each movement, each command from Alara seemed to flow naturally, almost instinctively. He adjusted the sensors on his ship to monitor their communications. Humans were communicating in ways his species had never imagined, quick, efficient, and adaptable. Zelrath had faced thousands of species in battle, many technologically superior to humans. Yet none had shown this kind of combined courage and intelligence. He realized slowly that humans were more than unpredictable, they were inspirational. The alien fleet began its descent. Massive walkers stomped across the plains, supported by flying drones that buzzed like angry hornets. Their weapons glowed, ready to incinerate anything in their path. "Hold the line," Alara whispered. She glanced at Harris. "Remember the plan. Use the terrain, the traps, and your instincts. Strike smart, strike together." The first clash was brutal. Alien walkers smashed into barricades, but the humans had prepared carefully. Trenches funneled them into narrow paths, and energy nets slowed them, causing mechanical failures. Ambush teams hidden behind rocks and debris struck at vulnerable joints and weak points. Yet this wave was unlike any before. The aliens had adapted to previous human tactics. They coordinated better, moved faster, and used shields to block the energy nets. Humans were pushed back in some areas, forced to retreat temporarily. Alara moved quickly, directing reinforcements to weak points, improvising on the fly. She ordered some soldiers to use reflective devices to confuse alien sensors and others to detonate controlled explosions to redirect the walkers. The plan changed constantly, evolving as the battle unfolded. Zelrath watched in awe. Humans had not only survived 2 waves, they had learned from them. Each action was smarter than the last. Even in exhaustion, they were creating opportunities from danger, turning weakness into strength. Hours passed. The battlefield became a maze of fire, smoke, and debris. The humans fought not with brute force but with strategy and courage. They moved as one, anticipating each other's actions, covering every flank and ensuring no soldier was left behind. At a critical moment, the aliens attempted to surround the ridge. A massive walker broke through the defenses, threatening the main human position. Captain Alara ran to the edge of the trench, her mind racing. "Divert it to the eastern canyon," she shouted. "Set the traps. Everyone fall back and stay coordinated." Soldiers scrambled, moving as she directed. Explosions rocked the ground, rocks tumbled down the slopes, and energy nets activated at precisely the right moment. The walker stumbled into the canyon, where hidden teams attacked from all sides. Within minutes, it was disabled. Zelrath could hardly believe what he saw. No other species had ever demonstrated such tactical genius under pressure. Humans were not just reacting, they were creating their own battlefield. Even when losses occurred, the humans adapted. Injured soldiers were carried to safety, weapons were repaired on the spot, and new strategies were immediately put into action. Captain Alara moved among her people, giving orders, encouragement, and comfort. She was a calm center in the storm, and her presence inspired everyone around her. As the sun reached its highest point, the alien commander realized the humans were not only surviving, they were turning the tide. Walkers were disabled, drones destroyed, and alien morale began to waver. For the first time in the war, Zelrath considered retreat, but pride and duty would not allow him to pull back yet. He activated the final wave, a massive assault force combining walkers, drones, and aerial bombers. The humans could not hold this with their current resources. They were outnumbered 10 to 1. Alara, seeing the scale of the attack, took a deep breath. "We fight smart, not just hard," she reminded her soldiers. She devised a daring plan. Using controlled retreats, diversions, and the environment, they would divide the alien forces, isolating the strongest units and striking them one by one. The humans executed the plan flawlessly. They led sections of the alien army into ambushes, collapsing terrain on their path, and using improvised weapons to disable machinery. Each ambush was precise, each retreat calculated. Every human soldier knew their role and trusted their comrades implicitly. Hours turned into a grueling battle of attrition. Humans fell, yes, but each loss was used as a lesson to strengthen the next maneuver. The aliens, confused and frustrated, began to hesitate. Their precision faltered, and Zelrath realized his calculations had failed. Humans had changed the battlefield itself with their courage, creativity, and adaptability. Finally, the climactic moment arrived. The largest alien walker, a towering machine of destruction, advanced toward the ridge. Alara and her soldiers prepared a bold trap. Using explosives, reflective signals, and coordinated strikes, they lured the walker into a narrow pass. It stumbled, trapped by collapsed rocks and energy nets. The humans attacked simultaneously from all sides, disabling it in a spectacular explosion. Zelrath watched in stunned silence. The humans had done the impossible. Against overwhelming odds, they had survived and won. The alien forces, seeing their leader's massive walker destroyed, began retreating. Some withdrew to orbit, others fled the battlefield entirely. Humans had not only defended their home, they had defeated a superior force through ingenuity and spirit. Captain Alara surveyed the ridge, exhausted but victorious. Her soldiers cheered quietly, hugging one another, tending the wounded and repairing equipment. They were battered, yes, but unbroken. They had survived the impossible, and in doing so, they had shown the true power of humanity. Zelrath descended to the planet's surface, approaching the humans cautiously. He had come to observe, to study, to conquer, but now he found himself inspired and humbled. He had never witnessed courage, creativity, and unity in such a concentrated form. Humans had defied every expectation, every prediction, every strategy he had devised. Alara watched him approach, wary but calm. She did not raise a weapon. She had seen the fear in soldiers before, but this being did not radiate threat now, only awe. "Commander Zelrath," she said, her voice steady, "why are you here?" He studied her, the soldiers, and the ruined battlefield. Then he spoke, his voice surprisingly soft. "I came to conquer. I came to study your species and see if they could survive. What I did not expect was to learn. You have shown me something I never understood, strength that cannot be measured by technology or numbers." Alara tilted her head, curious. "Strength?" "Yes," Zelrath replied. "Courage, creativity, unity. You are extraordinary. Your species is remarkable." Alara nodded slowly. "We fight because we must, but we survive because we believe in each other. That is our strength." Zelrath considered this. In all his years of war, he had never encountered such unpredictable, indomitable spirit. It was not in weapons or ships or strategy. It was in the humans themselves. He turned back to the horizon, reporting to his superiors. "Humans cannot be conquered by force alone," he said. "Their strength lies in their courage, ingenuity, and unity. Any attempt to destroy them will fail. They are extraordinary." The humans watched him leave, understanding that their victory was not just a battle, it was a statement. They had shown the galaxy that human strength was more than physical, more than technological, more than expected. It was a force of spirit, determination, and intelligence that no enemy could ignore. As the sun set over the ridge, Captain Alara and her soldiers tended to their wounded and rebuilt their defenses. Tomorrow might bring new challenges, but they knew one truth above all: humans never give up. Humans adapt, survive, and thrive, even in the face of impossible odds. And somewhere high above, Commander Zelrath admitted, quietly and reluctantly, that he had underestimated them. He had understood war, but witnessing human strength up close had changed everything. In the silence of the night, the ridge stood strong. The humans were battered but unbroken. They were victorious, not just because of weapons or tactics, but because of their spirit, their unity, and their undeniable human strength.